It feels like every other person this week on TikTok and LinkedIn, I cannot get away from people saying that October is the new first of the year reset. And basically, if you don't start your resolutions now for January of 2025, you are not going to be successful. And you have to start right now in October. And if I'm being honest, it's kind of stressful. Also, and I've always felt this way, don't wait for a month or a date or a new week to do what you know you want to start today. That's the biggest lesson in all of this for all of us. You don't have to wait for what you want. And that being said, I have a kind of love-hate relationship with resolutions and very strict self-improvement regimens. But I do love planning and strategy and honestly riding the wave of everyone being their quote-unquote best self at the beginning of the year. No surprise here, I am already working on Q1 for 2025, and I wanted to share a few of the things that I'm starting to work on as a podcaster and a producer and a strategist, and 3 things I'm starting now to grow my podcast in 2025 so that hopefully it can help you grow your podcast too. Hello and welcome to Podcast for Profit. My name is Morgan Franklin. I'm a podcast producer, strategist, and educator. This podcast will help you create and grow a podcast that cuts through the noise of social media and speaks directly to your target audience. If you're ready to create a podcast that will align you with the experts in your industry, position yourself as a trusted leader, and create another source of revenue for your business, you're in the right place. Okay, so the first thing that I'm doing to grow my podcast in 2025 that I've already started working on, and if I'm being real with you, is probably the least fun, and the thing that makes me the most uncomfortable is filming short form straight to camera videos. So this is the kind of video that you'd see on TikTok or YouTube Shorts or Reels, where I'm just talking about a podcast episode or something related to podcasting or something about me. I do think that these informal, straight-to-camera videos that are kind of like a monologue, like you're FaceTiming a friend, these are the most impactful pieces of content you can create right now. It feels real, it feels personal, and it feels like it's genuinely coming from you. And that's what I love about it. And as someone that wants to curate every single inch of my social media presence, this is really difficult for me. And I've heard from many other people that it's very difficult for you too. It feels very vulnerable. But the numbers are there, and that is what matters. People don't want a highly produced, professional, polished graphic designer. They want to feel like they're talking to you. Another thing that I'm shifting my operations on in the social media realm for the upcoming year is the way that I promote episodes. This might kind of seem like an insignificant change to some of you, but I think it makes a really big difference. And we have to stop pretending like having a new episode is a novelty or a reason to listen. We do this all the time. And I see this every week. And I know that you do too. Every week, I see someone out here posting the same 3 graphics that they've been using for 2 years that say new episode or listen to my new episode here with special guest XYZ. And I hate to tell you, but no one cares. No one cares if you have a new episode. If it's the day of the week that you should have a new episode, you should have a new episode. This is not news, and I am so guilty for this. For years, I've been so guilty of this because we think people should care, right? We put so much time and energy into this new episode, and we're really proud of it, and we want other people to hear it. But that is not going to make them listen. That is not enough. This is what's going to get them to listen. Piquing their interest. Showing them the highlight or the part of something that you're talking about that they might want to hear more of, and then telling them where they can listen to more. Here's a quick example. So earlier this week, I was on TikTok and I saw these podcasters talking about Halloween costumes. I love Halloween, so of course I was in immediately. But they were talking about the costumes that we need to retire in 2024. And not just retire, but like when they would be cool again. And I thought that that was just such an interesting concept. But the snippet that they were talking about was they were saying that 3 Hole Punch Jim from The Office, a very notoriously lazy costume, is out. But if you give it 5 to 10 years for this generation of kids who think that millennial stuff is kind of lame, if you give those kids time to age out of picking the things that are cool, in about 5 to 10 years, it'll be cool and kind of hipster again to be 3-hole punch Jim. And as an Office fan and as a millennial that can find the humor in making fun of millennial-y stuff, I thought that this was really funny. And so, I found them, I followed them, I found the podcast and I listened to it. And the lesson to take away from this is that they weren't advertising that they had a new episode. That wasn't the focus of this. They were showing people that small part of what they could expect and then leading them to the podcast. Oh, and by the way, if you want to listen to this podcast, it is so funny. It is called Pals. That's P-A-L-S. The hosts are hilarious. And I'm so glad that I found that podcast. I do want to note that they have a video component of their podcast, but you do not have to have a video component of your podcast to create interest in this way with short form content. Literally, just get on your phone and start recording a video where you talk about the episode. Because, I could make a video for this episode so easily. My hook would probably just be something like, this is why I'm not waiting until January 1st to implement my 2025 podcast marketing strategy. And this is what I'm already doing. And then listen to the full episode here. Perfect. Perfect video. That's all I need. Short and sweet. Tells me what to expect, gives me a little taste, tells me where to go. The easiest content that I'll make all month. I've said it before and I'll say it again. You don't have to have a video component of your podcast. You don't have to be filming it every single time you make a podcast to have short form video content. The next thing is YouTube. And yes, like so many of us, I have been really avoiding YouTube. Not because I don't like it or think it's great or think that it's great for podcasters. It's because I don't want to do it. I don't want to do another thing on another platform. But YouTube is the fastest growing podcast platform. So what's a girl to do? Here's my plan for YouTube for the first half of 2025. And I'm not even going to guess what the second half is going to be like because we could all be living on Mars by then. So here's the plan. I'm going to keep posting my podcast episodes on YouTube. I do that already. I just take the audio, I put it in Canva, I make a graphic, and then I upload the podcast with a static image to YouTube. However, my goal is to make a very casual video to go on YouTube every week, probably just filmed on my laptop with Loom, where I'm talking about a podcast or how to do something with editing or AI or something informational and probably educational, and uploading that every week to help drive traffic to my page so that hopefully people will start following me. And then when my episodes do air, it will pop up because they follow me. And eventually, yes, I do want to do more on YouTube and especially to make higher quality content. But I just want to do what makes sense for me, how much time I have. And I know already I'm pretty strapped for time. And I encourage you to do that too. Think about what you can do in the time that you have instead of stressing yourself out and burning yourself out and then ending up not doing anything. Because I know this stuff adds up, but you have to figure out where it can fit into your own content plan. And the last thing under social media for the start of 2025 to grow my podcast, and wow, this has been a lot already, is working on hosting live events on LinkedIn. Now, this might not be exactly right for your niche or podcast, but for mine, since it's mostly podcasters and business owners, this makes a lot of sense for me. But I want to involve some kind of live component into my podcast advertising, and I think that this would be a good way to do it. If you're someone that's already using webinars or LinkedIn Lives or any kind of live event to promote your podcast or business, please reach out to me. I would love to hear how it works for you. And if you're open to sharing any information with me, I would love it. And of course, I will share it here on the podcast. Okay, so now that we have the social media prong of the approach, now I want to talk about in-person events. In-person events are a major pillar of my 2025 marketing effort for my podcast. And, it might not be in the way that you're thinking. And if you're thinking, I don't want to go to a podcast conference, that's not really what I'm talking about. While I am very excited to go to podcast conferences, and I will be announcing a few that I will be going to and speaking at in 2025 very soon, I think that there are just as many opportunities to make meaningful connections and spread the word about your podcast where you are. And whether that's literally where you live, or the industry you're in, or the community of people that are around you, I think the best first step is always to grow where you are. And this is something that I have been majorly slacking on, especially the past 6 months. I normally go to so many local and industry events, and I've been a little bit off my game just because I've been busy, but I'm making plans to go to more in-person events and meet people in real life in 2025. I truly believe nothing grows your podcast like going out there and getting out of your comfort zone and meeting people face to face. I am so lucky that I live in the Nashville area where we have multiple artist organizations and a community just for podcasters. And if you live in the Nashville area or the surrounding area, I hope that you look up Nash Pod. So that's NASH Pod. It's seriously the nicest, most welcoming group of people. And of course, I'm there too. In that same vein, I want to focus on meeting people in the industry and talking to people who do the same thing as me. This is really intimidating to me, and I think it probably is to a lot of other people too. In this industry, I still feel really new and like I don't know where I belong, and I want to be friends with other people working in the podcasting industry without them feeling like I'm trying to take advantage of their experience or knowledge. So it's a gentle balance and one that I'm still trying to figure out. And that being said, I want to encourage you, no matter what industry you're in, to try and make friends with people who do the same thing as you or work alongside you. And I know that that can be hard. I know it can be scary, especially when it's your competition. But think about how much you guys have in common. Think about how much you could help each other. Think about how they're probably feeling the exact same way as you. There is more than enough money and opportunities and clients for everyone. So focus on what you can give to your industry and how you can impact the people around you. And I promise that everything else is going to fall into place. The last thing that I'm doing to grow my podcast in 2025 is learning more about and properly implementing AI. If you've listened to any of my other episodes where I talk about AI or ChatGPT, you know I have one theory about the future of artificial intelligence. AI won't replace us. People who use AI will. I'm a big believer in putting things into the universe and claiming what is yours. So I do want to share that I'm currently creating a workable model for an AI app that's just for podcasters and podcasting. There will be free and paid portions of this app, but I am so excited. And also, me creating this app wouldn't be possible without AI. 2 years ago, this would have been impossible because, yes, I do have 2 programmers to kind of bounce ideas off of, but most of the mockups and the things that I've been doing in this stage are all completely possible because of AI, and that's just insane. I use AI at every part of my podcasting journey: pre-production, production, post-production, promotion, content writing, advertising, you name it. I probably use AI for it. And it doesn't replace my creativity. If you're listening and you're thinking, oh, well, I've tried ChatGPT and it sucks. I get that. It isn't going to do the work for you. It's going to help you get about 70% of the way there or do the things that you don't really want to do. For example, now instead of trying to take my transcripts and painstakingly make them a blog post from every episode, I can ask ChatGPT, hey, break this down from the transcript and get me 70% of the way there. And then from there, I can make it consumable for a human. And that is the part that really matters. But a few things that I know that I am starting to implement AI into my workflow for podcasting in 2025, booking guests, following up with guests, because that takes forever, collecting guest recommendations, following up to share episode information after an episode goes live, outlining episodes, researching questions and topics that people have for episodes and specific audience segments, understanding my listener data, and honing into that information to know what people actually want to hear. Because I don't know about you, like I try to compare episodes, I try to compare retention rates, but as far as me digging into that information, it is a little bit hard and intimidating. But with the right AI prompts and tools, you can take your analytics and say, hey, What do people actually like to hear? And isn't that so powerful? Isn't that what you actually want to know? There are truly endless ways to use AI and to make the podcasting process easier. And if you haven't downloaded my 4 most used ChatGPT prompts, you need to. The download is free, and of course it is compatible with the free version of ChatGPT. So even if you just want to try it out, you can absolutely do that. I'm also going to link my store in the episode description. I just released a new Instagram template pack, and I am in love with it. I think that it is so cute, and I love it. I have all kinds of different resources to make your life easier to grow and promote your podcast. I'd love to hear how you are planning to promote your podcast in 2025. Send me a DM on Instagram. It's at Morgan Franklin Media, or add me on LinkedIn. I'll have both of those linked in the episode description. And as always, I can't wait to listen to your podcast. Hey, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. If you enjoyed the podcast and you'd like to hear more episodes like this one, go ahead and subscribe to the show. New episodes air every Monday morning. And if you found this episode valuable and you want to help other business owners and podcasters, will you leave me a 5-star review? It helps the show rank higher in the charts and brings more entrepreneurs the information they need to start making money on their podcast.